So we just got some really bad news for Rell Seas, and it all kind of comes back to the whole copyright situation. And for those that aren't familiar with that whole situation, essentially official animes are actually making Roblox games now. We've seen it with My Hero Academia, and because an official My Hero Academia game was made, all of the other My Hero Academia games on the platform were copyright striked, or any game that had any sort of My Hero Academia related things. But obviously that whole situation was with My Hero Academia, so what does this really have to do with Rell Seas? And it's a little complicated, but judging by what Rell himself said on Twitter, it looks like most popular anime are gonna have their own official anime game on Roblox. And obviously y'all might have heard of the big anime that Rell Seas is based on called One Piece. So let me show you guys the tweets he said and why this might become a really big issue. First, Rell tweeted that he has inside knowledge on the whole My Hero Academia situation, or just the IP situation in general. And for those that don't know what IP means, it means intellectual property, and it's what anime games use. You know, like a My Hero Academia game uses the intellectual property of My Hero Academia, and you need a license to do that officially. Obviously for years now, Roblox games have been using it unofficially, but now it looks like if you do that, you're gonna get taken down. And Rell went on to say making an anime game is gonna be a big risk now without the official IP. And that might not sound like that big of a problem, but it is pretty hard to get the official IP. It's gonna cost 6 figures, he said, or a large percentage of your game, or both. And my fault, I misread it. He said 6 figures to millions of dollars. And that obviously just depends on the size of the IP. If it's a smaller anime or a smaller IP, it's gonna be a lot less. But for something like a One Piece or Naruto, that's where you're gonna get into the millions of dollars in a large percentage territory. And that's obviously not good news considering Rell Seas is based on One Piece. Then Rell spoke on current Roblox anime games. He said your favorite games will be DMCA'd or deleted. Once a studio/developer obtains that IP, it's beneficial to DMCA all the competition due to money and percentage gain. And this literally completely alone would be tragic news. He's pretty much saying that your favorite games are literally just on a timer until they get packed up. Then he goes on to say something even bigger of an issue in my opinion. He says risk/warning. Anyone developing an anime game right now, this is a warning. Don't risk your time, effort, and money doing it. And the fact that that's coming from the person making Rell Seas, the most hyped up Roblox anime game right now, is insane. That's the equivalent of like Elon Musk saying anyone trying to make a company right now, don't risk your time, money, and effort doing it, when they're literally the main ones doing it right now. And if you thought there couldn't be even more bad news, don't worry, he's got more. Rell said past examples before 2023 of games that got DMCA'd prior. He said Roblox Piece/Roblox Fruits, Pokemon Brick Bronze, Shinobi Life 2. But the thing about all those games, you might notice those were huge games, one of the biggest games on the platform at the time. But then he says after that it's gonna get a lot worse. They'll be targeting smaller games now, and that's a really big deal because before it really didn't matter how much copyright infringement stuff you used, as long as your game wasn't hitting like 100k players, you were fine. But now literally everybody is at risk of getting packed up, even if your game only is like 500 players or something. And then obviously because this is Rell he talked about what they're going to be doing for Rell Seas. He said we're going to post a video on Carimbos about the steps we've taken to avoid what happened to Shinobi Life 2. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar with what happened to Shinobi Life 2, essentially Shinobi Life 2 was a Naruto game, and it was one of the first Naruto games, or Roblox anime games in general, to get taken down for copyright infringement. But judging by what Rell says, it does seem like Rell Seas is hopefully going to be fine. But that doesn't mean Rell Seas is not going to have to make a lot of renovations, and for some of you guys it might actually ruin the game, because Rell Seas has a bunch of models and bosses and mounts that are obviously from One Piece. For example, here was a new ore sneak from a few days ago, and something like this, a boss that is obviously from One Piece, it probably got to get changed. Some of your guys' favorite fruit models like Goro, for example, that's from One Piece, it's probably got to get changed. Or the dragon hybrid model probably got to get changed, it looks like Kaido. Or Gear 4, for example, that's gonna have to get changed, and when Gear 5 comes out, it's gonna have to not look like Gear 5. Man, even Allosaurus has the same coat from One Piece, that's gonna have to get changed. Or at least that's my assumption. Obviously I'm not an expert in this, so I could be wrong, but that just makes the most sense. They're obviously based on One Piece. I don't know exactly how significant the changes have to be, but I hope they can still keep them relatively similar so you could still understand who that is in One Piece. But some of you guys might not have that big of a problem with that, but let me explain why that's a really big deal. The first thing is, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to have as much fun if the bosses don't look like the bosses from One Piece, and that just might have to be the sad reality of the situation. One of the best things about a One Piece game is it's going to make you feel like you're in the world of One Piece, but now it's going to be a bit less in my opinion, simply because you're not going to have a lot of things from One Piece. If they do have to change a lot of the models, I hope they still have somewhat of a resemblance from the anime, just so people still feel like they're playing the anime. But if they do have to look completely different, I mean, I can't even blame the Rell brothers. What are they going to do? They want the game to be playable, and obviously the game being playable is better than the game getting taken down. But if they really do end up having to remodel a lot of the things in Rell Seas, obviously it's going to affect the release date. I mean, think about how many models we've seen for Rell Seas, and there's probably even more models that we haven't seen. If a good portion of those models have to be redone, obviously that's gonna take a lot of time and it's gonna affect when we actually get the game. Now normally I'd say that's gonna take like a million years just based on how many models it is, but the Rell brothers do work fast, so we'll see what ends up happening. Now this scenario is extremely unlikely, but how would you guys feel if Rell Seas became the official One Piece game and got the IP? It's really unlikely because it would cost a lot of money and percentage of their game, and I don't know if they would want to do that, but if that somehow happened, the potential would actually be insane. But let me know your guys' thoughts on that in the comments. Also, if you want to hit that like and subscribe button, it helps me pay my rent, so I'd appreciate it. Thank y'all, love y'all, later.